Well, welcome back to Coffee in the Barn after our long summer break, Morgan.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, I don't know. Summer's kind of a little chaotic around here. It's fun, but yet balancing everything seems to be, in my mind, a little more challenging than the traditional scheduled out school year. What about
Yeah,
yours?
it's definitely a little bit more relaxed. I would say the kids are not in bed at their regular time because it's still so light out and nice out past 8 o'clock. So bedtime gets pushed a little bit later, and then they will sleep in a little bit later as well. So there's just different sleep schedules and different activities going on, and yeah, but for the most part, it's pretty relaxed.
I was going to say, are you in your second or third trimester now, going into the heat in the summer?
Almost in my third. Almost
So.
my third, but I was pregnant throughout the summer with my first one, so it's not too bad. Throw some dresses on and it's all good.
No, dresses is the best thing when you're pregnant. I
Yes.
somebody was asking me what advice of what type of dress to buy. I said, you don't have to buy a lot of expensive maternity dresses. Just buy those empire waist type dresses. So, and you'd be fine.
Oh, I know. My mom's like, "Oh, is that a new maternity dress? Is that?" And I'm like, "No, they're just the dresses that I've always had that are just a little bit more flowy."
Yeah, she's like, because my friends talk about maternity clothes, and I don't have any more. I've given them away, right? After I didn't need them, I gave them away. But I was just like, you don't have to shop in maternity. You just have to look for this style.
Yeah, my sister and I have had since I've been through two pregnancies. She's been through one. We have a maternity bin that we pass back and forth between us and some friends, and it has different shorts and pants and variety of shirts, and so we haven't really had to buy much after we've collected things over the last couple years.
And that's the way it should be. I mean, my sister and I did the same thing with the boys' clothes and stuff like that, just shuttling them around, and it seems to work.
Oh yes, for sure.
But let's talk about summer because summer working can be a challenge. I know what it was like to be in school, and I could not wait to summer vacation because that meant, no school, of course, but then the fair and all that fun stuff. But living it through my son, he was so excited for summer to come, and I'm so excited for school to come back. But do you feel like, just in general, is motivation more challenging for you from a career perspective in this summer?
I mean, sometimes, normally if I have enough to do, I'm pretty dialed in. But when it is like super nice outside, I will take an extra long lunch or go take the kids for a walk, take the dogs for a walk, go play outside, take breaks if I'm at home, if the kids are around, just to kind of break up the day a little bit and actually be able to spend some time outside. And yeah, so I kind of so far balance it well. But as soon as, like 4:30, 5 o'clock hits, I'm like, all right, let's go outside and play. Like, I'm really trying to, like, I've been sitting inside all day working. I'm like, I need to go outside and do something. Like, let's go to the pool, let's go to the park. I think I'm a little bit more willing to, not more willing, but I'm more motivated to go out and do stuff after work, especially at night when it's nice out, or plan things. Our daughter is, going to be 4 this fall, and I don't want to say has had a hard time with school ending, but she really like misses her friends. And so I've been a little bit more intentional on trying to get together with either neighbors or friends that we have of kids the same age, at least like once a week, or planning different activities and things so that she can go see friends or do things outside of just being at home, just because she is only at grandparents during the day or at home with us. So I do try to keep her as socialized as we can.
Yeah, we utilize, and we got lucky because the lotto system, not all the kids get in, but the after school program that we use during the school year, And then we use that for socialization for Arthur and keeping him active versus coming home and sitting on the couch and his iPad like he likes to do. Well, this summer we did the same thing, and we were lucky to get in. From a budgetary standpoint, it's like, ouch, the weekly cost of it. But for him, it's good because he's active, he's doing different things, he's around kids all of the time. But it's still, I don't know, the schedule is just a little different because you have to take him to the program versus we just usually put him on the bus. And um, but it is better than camps because I've done camps in the past, and the problem with camps is it's not a problem, but for Arthur, it's a problem, is the schedule is always different between the camps, certain days of the week, and he has to have structure. He has to have routine. He has to kind of be around the same kids or he struggles, right, from a behavior standpoint. So that's a double bonus with the after school summer program that we have, that he gets a little camp feel. They go on field trips. I mean, they went bowling, they went go-kart racing,
Nice.
they go to the splash pad, they get ice cream every Friday, and I'm like, Fridays I like to get off early and go pick them up, but I'm not allowed to because ice cream's at 3 o'clock. So I'm like, well, there goes my you know, break of the summer of having at least every other Friday afternoon off. But no, ice cream social takes priority.
No. Yeah,
But
I found it kind of hard to schedule. I know our kids are a little bit younger, but a lot of like the activities for kids, either like summer school or like swim lessons or any sort of like outside activity, is usually during the day, which I've found it a little bit more difficult to like try and put our like kids, like Emma is going to be 4, so like what activity can I put her in that's either like on a Saturday morning or like the same day during the week that would work for our schedule. And like just trying to find other things to do. And at this point, it's been a little difficult to like find actual activities for her to do like during the day that are, I shouldn't say during the day, but like
during your work hours, yeah.
during my work hours. Yeah, I mean they're fine now, just playing. Like all they want to do is play, so they're fine going to the library and playing for an hour or two, or going to the splash pad or whatever. So it's not too bad right now, but I see that as a possible challenge in the future. Is okay, how do we balance kids activities during the day or camps or whatnot, kind of how you're already alluding to down the line.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on a little bit. And obviously, we're coming back from spring break. So, or spring break. Oh my gosh, summer break. Come on, let's get with the right season here because of the weather. It's not spring. But just for, supervisors or you to think of, this summer was awful. My kids were awful. Or how do I balance this for my employees? And I really do think next summer I'm going to go back to the mentality. I always really wanted it from, at least here in the US, Memorial Day to Labor Day, that at least on Friday afternoons we take off. So we work a 4.5 day week, or because of my husband's work schedule, if we don't want to have just the afternoons off, like we have every other Friday off. So I think next summer I'm going to go back to that philosophy and maybe look more at more camps, maybe versus the summer program, because obviously the summer program we have to pay even though we're not there. So sending him to grandma's for 2 weeks is I'm still paying for the rest of the childcare that I need for the rest of the summer. But things like that to consider of how can we help our employees in the summer with school breaks or childcare breaks that we have, and that's always a challenge if it's a snow day or it's a holiday that you don't have off at work to balance. And I think it's just we need to start that conversation and kind of explaining how I do it, but also my employees. Like, I want you all to take your vacation. I don't let them carry over their vacation, and even though I'm entitled to the same amount of vacation, I'm excited that I'm going to take a week vacation yet before official back to school.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking to get something scheduled too. And I ran into like, we can roll over a certain amount of vacation or personal hours every year. But I found last year I didn't take time throughout the year just because we were just busy. And I didn't prioritize like taking a day here, a day there, etc. So when it came to like December, I was like, oh, I need to take like a handful of days between November and December and the holidays and stuff so that I don't lose those hours going into the new year. And so this year I've been a little bit more intentional on like planning, like a Friday here, or I'm okay if we take a couple days during the week off because I have the time. And so actually taking the time and making sure to plan it. And I think that's the biggest thing, especially with how my schedule works, is I have to I'm booked out like 3 weeks in advance. So when I'm talking to my husband or family about a trip, I'm like, okay, like let's get it on the books, at least 6 weeks in advance, so that when somebody says, hey, can you come to this farm or can we plan this meeting, etc., I can be like, nope, I'm not available that week. Otherwise, I'm going to make myself available if we don't have anything planned.
yeah, I know how that goes. But I live with my mother is never one that likes to plan last minute thing. And I'm like, you do realize that with careers and all that and school schedules, we have to plan
Mm-hmm.
what we're gonna do and when. We don't have to have like the final details. But if you're gonna come for 2 weeks, I need to yes date. So she did that to me this summer. I was traveling between rural Pork and Spain, and I'm like, will you come down and will you help me get organized again? Because she loves to clean. So I let her now. And I'm like, when are you leaving, Mom? His dance recital Saturday. He really wanted you to go. It's like getting there to confirm when she's actually going to be here. Do you have her bedroom set up? Because I'm sitting in my guest bedroom, which is a recording studio today. And it's my craft room and the home office and the spare bedroom. So it's like it does take a little planning to have company come. So yeah, I think that's a good topic. I think we also wanted to point in of we talked about personally balancing life with children in the summer, and me the sun just draws me outside and things. And but the biggest problem we have is we just talked about vacation and trips, but it's hard to work around that. And you primarily work with the US, but I know you probably also have some international colleagues. But since I work with international companies and domestic companies, always the joke was the Europeans during the summer is like you're not going to get anything done
Right.
basically July and the first part of August, if not all of August. So those 2 months from a European connection standpoint is challenging because they usually take extended long-term vacations. And I ask my European colleagues, I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you shut off to where you're not going to think about anything for 2 or 3 weeks? Because if I did that, I just everything I have would just
I'd get
fall.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get lost and like, do I want to come back? It's just like next week I'm technically on vacation, but here's the thing. I'm going to be, Teams messages, emails. I'm going to be looking at them. I'm going to be responding. And that's for my sanity to think of not stressing about everything I'll have for the week. I'm gone. So I do actually prefer to do that, but I said absolutely no meetings. Like, if you have a 5-minute question, we can jump on a call, but like no meetings, right? And I'm happy about that. But how do you balance that? Like, I got my vacation, my customers on vacation, my colleagues on vacation, because we also have to fill in for others.
Mhm.
Liliana took a week off, and I said, Liliana, I'm having Liliana withdrawals. I really need you back to help manage this team and manage these projects because things are falling through the cracks because you're not here. I mean, what is some good advice for you of either managing around that from serving your customers to working with colleagues and helping them out be able to take vacations?
Well, we have a really, I would say, relatively small team as far as on the tech support side within our research department and, just a swine technical support group. And so our team is really communicative on, like during 4th of July. 4th of July fell on a Thursday this year. And some of them had Friday. They were taking off because either daycare was closed or it was going to be nice out and they had projects that they wanted to do. And so, for the most part, we communicate really well, saying, is anybody going to be in or out, this day or that day? I try to communicate as soon as I can on when, like, we are taking vacation. I keep my calendar relatively up to date as much as I can. So, for the most part, we just communicate, between the 3 and 4 of us on who has stuff going on and when people are going to be gone so that we can kind of fill in when we need to or make accommodations in case we know that 2 people are gone. We know who the go-to contact person is. And, kind of as I'm moving into the fall and maternity leave, we have multiple conversations also like, okay, what projects are currently happening that need eyes on them to keep them going. And when I was on maternity last time with our second, uh, this is just my personal preference, but I don't do good just like completely disconnecting. I'll have like I'll have a response on my email saying like I'm on maternity leave or I'm out of the office. If you need immediate assistance, contact so and so. But for the most part, I usually keep an eye on my emails just so that I can like flag the things that I can like either get done quickly or that aren't as of a pressing issue, and those that need to get done like right away I'll just hand off to somebody else if I can. But just for like my own mental sanity, I don't like being completely disconnected, and I like being able to like keep track of what's going on just because of I'm so organized and I like to know what's going on and what changes have been made. And I keep notes of everything with different customers and clients and whatnot. So moving into this maternity leave, that's how I'm kind of framing how this maternity leave will go as well. But I know like every pregnancy is different. I'm going to have 3 kids at home now instead of 2. My husband and I switch off on when we take our maternity and paternity leave. And, we have help and whatnot. But the plan as of now is to kind of do it the same way that I did before. But if it's not working, I'll ask for help and I'll communicate to my team like, okay, like I need to take the full, 8 weeks or whatever it is. Cause every baby's different too. So we'll see how it goes, but that's kind of, communication is just the biggest thing. I would just have to say, communication and planning.
Well, I was going to say, I do not use the auto replies because I'm notorious for responding anyways. I figured if I don't respond in 2 days, people should know I'm traveling. But I've had some colleagues, and I won't mention their names, but you'd have auto replies, and 30 minutes later, you have a response. And I'm like, why do you have an auto reply if you're going to respond 30 minutes later? So I do have an auto reply scheduled for my vacation. So we'll see on how much I do or don't do on time.
Yeah. I normally don't use an auto reply either. I just either reply, I'm out of town for a couple days, I'll get back to you, or do you need this within the next day or two? If so, I'll have somebody else handle it.
But I was going to say, from a leadership perspective, my biggest thing is that I truly know when my employees are on vacation, and I consciously, as Grace is reminding me, right? My dog in the background, but I consciously try to not bother them late. And I tell the team not to email them, don't ask them. So I'd be curious to see how this goes with my team here coming up. But I truly know when they're on vacation or not. And then I ask him, like Liliana had vacation and she's got some family stuff going on. I said, "Are you available?" And she's like, I ask permission to know if she's back or not. So it's just having that respect for your employees, because I think it's important for everybody to take the vacation. But I'm also working on the fact that I need to show while I'm on vacation to my employees so they know that they can enjoy theirs as well.
Yeah.
Um, but from a business management standpoint, it takes on a different thing. I mean, communication's key, but what I'm finding is that potentially my quarter 3 may be a little bit lower performing here, more so in July, from the standpoint of balancing my schedules, my customers' vacations, and things of closing deals. Do you find that as a challenge as well during the sales process in your career so far, that summertime may be a little harder to close new deals? I mean, existing business kind of keeps rolling. They tend to have potentially more pigs on feed, but the challenges of getting new business.
I think it's more, I would say yes, in part. And I think it's more just the scheduling of the meetings and the communication between people. Like in the spring, we have planting. So you know that you're probably not going to get any meetings between April and May. And then June is World Pork. And then school's out. And then a lot of people take vacation the end of June, 4th of July. And so there's a lot of meetings that we wanted to have in June, but they kept getting pushed because people were on vacation. And so things are a little bit slower paced, I would say, through like June and July. And then, come September, you start harvesting again. So it's kind of it goes up and down, I would say.
And how do you manage that from expectations of yourself, right? Because obviously I'm a performer, you're a performer. What are some things that you manage your expectations, realizing not everybody's still on your timeline?
I try to, for customers that we have like regular reoccurring like meetings every year, like 3 or 4 meetings a year, we try to schedule that next meeting at the end of the previous meeting, because most of the time people know if they're going to be gone for an extended period of time, at least a couple of months in advance. And so, you know, in March, if we have a meeting and the next meeting's in June or July, we say, okay, what day in June and July are you guys available? Let's put the meeting on the books. And then as we get closer, we reevaluate. I would say 3 weeks out, we say, okay, is this still working, or do we need to push it more? So we try to plan meetings as far in advance as we can, I guess, balancing everyone's schedules. But I mean, some meetings we have 5 or 6 different people that we have to accommodate schedules for. Uh, and so, you just have to be flexible.
No, I agree. I think the other thing I'm learning in business, and this is really hard, is this is kind of all year. It's getting to be all year, but there's definitely seasons to a lot of meetings. And if we go for starting World Pork, you have World Pork, and then we may have a couple breaks, but then you have NPIC, you have PSA, you have ASAS, you have dairy science from scientific meetings. If you're a nutritionist and you're kind of you have customers in all species, or you work across all species, it's really busy. I'm adding pet food in there, so even more. And then, Arkansas Nutrition rounds out the summer for me. And like I could be at meeting after meeting after meeting, and NF goes in there. So, as a business manager, I'm A, looking at budgets, but B, I'm also really learning is, my planning and scheduling is what's going to be most valuable for me to learn, and then what's most valuable for my customers. So this year, I'm not going to PSA. I'm not going to animal science. I was supposed to be part of giving away the travel scholarships at dairy science, but I couldn't justify the cost. It's not necessarily even the cost of some of this stuff. It's the time.
Yeah.
And I've found, World Pork's a great networking. And to me, that's like a launch pad to next steps, catching up with old people. But, really, I'm finding to conduct business is better one on one and planning those meetings accordingly. And maybe not so many virtual meetings unless it's just existing project work or existing business you need to touch base with. But I'm really feeling, more value of the one-on-one meetings. I excel in that, to where all these extra meetings are additional costs, travel expenses, registration costs. And here I am going to Super Zoo in August, so I'm gonna fill you in on that after that. But registration fee was 2,000. It's the same with NPIC. And I was like, do I go to NPIC and maybe talk to some customers I know or the people that I can just call up and have a one-on-one? Or do I take that revenue and invest in new customers that I need to meet? And so business development is key for me. So looking at those conferences and scheduling, even going into the fall, that it's all about new business development, and then individual trips for closing deals and things like that.
Yeah, the previous job that I had when I was more in sales than the technical service side of things, I was at every single monogastric trade show, nutrition show, academic show, and set up and take down was Monday. It was a Monday through Friday deal, and you got hotels and food. And for the most part, I was there by myself. But some of the bigger shows, I had some other colleagues with us, and that was right around like COVID and a little bit after. But we really, after doing that for like a full year, we really evaluated where were our resources going? Were we just there to have a presence? Was a booth really necessary? And so then, moving forward the next year or two, we really pulled back on how many trade shows we actually were attending as far as a booth representation. And, we almost got as much out of the meeting going and just walking around and talking to people as we did, having like a designated booth spot. And I don't know if it was more like for me personally, like I don't want to say fear of missing out type thing, but like I always thought that I had to be at like all of the meetings because I was like, well, I just need to be there. I don't want to miss anything type thing. But I've learned that, if there is already, 2 or 3 people from our team that are already attending, am I gonna benefit from also being there, or can those individuals just communicate back to our team what they learned? And so I've been a little bit more selective, or at least have tried to be, on not trying to just like schedule myself with all of the trade shows and different conferences and things, because you could fill up your schedule really really quickly just with conferences and trade shows and different meetings, even day-long meetings, throughout the summer or even throughout the year. And so just picking which ones are most important for me professionally and personally, developmentally, for my career, and how I can best, fit those customers, or which meetings I'm going to have the biggest impact on.
I couldn't agree more. And I go back to my AB Vista time, right? I was traveling 80 to 90%. And Pete said, well, it was kind of your own doing. And I almost think if I would have had more of the mindset, because at Comeback, it was more like that. There's more of us in the species, so we could divide and conquer. But early on in your career, you feel like you have that fear of missing out, or I need to learn something new. And have an intern right now, and I sent some conferences. Oh yeah, I want to go, and I want to go. And I said, well, we're going to talk about it from a budget standpoint, and who does it make sense to go? Because I think some of them have value of us going as a company, but who goes is better on the budget. And I'll use a great example, the AFCO meeting, and we do regulatory consulting, and we have regulatory in a lot of our customer product projects. So that's an important area that I keep up on. But it's in San Antonio. Well, guess who lives in San Antonio? Liliana. She has no hotel cost, no flight cost. She's just there and can commute in every day and get the needed benefit out of it. So I'm like, you go do that, you get a report, we can feed that back to our clients, and it's a win-win where, like IPPE, I really didn't want to plan on 2025 until my customer said, "Oh yeah, you need to go." And I'm like, "Can I just send somebody instead, because that's like an event that I would, maybe want to miss out on." But yeah, I struggling to balance looking at my calendars like September, the Lehman Conference, Minnesota Nutrition Conference, Midwest Swine Nutrition Conference, and a few other things. And I'm like, I really think I got to pick one. And the Lehman's more geared to the veterinarian. So I think I'm going to go to the more general Minnesota Nutrition, because I do more than just pigs. So it would be more value, and I can plan my customer meetings around that while I'm in the area, and I don't have to come in on a weekend for that event. So that's me picking and choosing. Yeah, everybody goes to the Lehman Conference, but value, right? If I'm going to sit in on some of the meetings, I need to be valuable from an education standpoint. And I also need to be able to conduct business. So Mankato is like the perfect place for me to be able to do that. And that's just an example of setting the priorities. And don't be mad at your bosses if they tell you can't go or you don't need to go.
Yeah.
The fear of missing out, you're not missing out. Yeah, you'll miss people and it's fun, but we don't have to be everywhere all the time.
Yeah, and I've learned that too. I used to be always the one being like, "Okay, I'll go." But I think that stemmed from me, the previous job, of always kind of having to go. And so I just kind of thought it was like an expectation that, you know, you need to go type thing. And we do have, I don't want to say mandatory meetings, but Iowa Pork and World Pork are the two mandatory meetings that everyone has to be at every year, because we have internal meetings before, and then a lot of our customers are within those meeting regions as well. And Minnesota Pork is now another one that I have gone to the last couple years, given that a lot of my customers are there as well. And so I would say those are the three main ones that I'm like, okay, I have to be there every single year. And then like NPIC is in the Wisconsin Dells, and it's convenient for me. I didn't go to the meetings this year, but because we had a handful of other people at the meetings, but we brought a bunch of customers in from around the Midwest. And so I was still able to go up and attend customer just dinner outings and socialize with our customers during the evenings, because I'm only an hour away. And so that was kind of the compromise with that conference, that I was able to just join everyone for dinner and socialize and meet the different people that I haven't met before. And then, the team just reported back on how MPIC went, the following week.
Well, that's really cool. Well, we're getting close on our time allowance that we're giving ourselves for episodes. But before we go, what is the one thing that you've done this summer for yourself that is really fulfilled you?
Oh, that's a tough question. I bought chickens.
You bought chicken. Well, that kind of sounds like mine, but yes, the chicken saga importance.
I really enjoy a garden, and so my garden this year is like twice the size of it as it was last year, and I planted some new plants this year that I've never planted before, and so I'm kind of experimenting a little bit on my garden, and the different size of plants and where to put things. I also bought my sister and I got 8-layer chickens, and we built a coop, and so we have chickens, and we're very like our kids are in love with them, especially Emma. She loves to just carry them around and perch them on her arm, and so that's been like one of our fun summer projects. And then I'm trying to think what else. Chickens, the garden. Oh yeah, and I started sourdough. So I've been experimenting with different sourdough recipes and just I don't want to say homesteading things, but there's a lot of people in I would say my generation that seem to be doing a lot of the same things. But yeah, so and Emma really enjoys helping me mix the sourdough bread and whatnot. She's content as long as I get all the ingredients in the bowl. She'll sit there and just mix things with her hands for a solid 20 minutes. So it keeps her occupied. And every single time she sees me pull it out, she wants to help. So, between those three things, that's kind of been our, I guess, different summer hobbies that we've had.
Well, my summer hobby has been kind of brought chaos to my house, and I have to give my mom kudos for helping me with this project because I traveled after I did this. So we lost our kitten we had. We think somebody took it again. So we said, if we have cats again, they are only going to be indoors. And so we went to the shelter, and I'm like, well, I'll foster a mama cat and keep the mama cat and one kitten. Her name's Maui. She had 3 beautiful kittens, and I'm like, oh, worst case scenario, 4 cats is doable in a house, right? No, well, they needed a foster home for 4 more. So we have a house full of 8 kittens. They're not quite old enough to be weaned, so another week. But my mom kept them alive by helping me bottle feed while I traveled. So I was ever grateful for that, right? And she's not a cat person. They have outdoor cats and that's it. And that was really kind of her motto growing up. And so the fact that she would bottle feed my kittens for me and kept them going because the foster kittens were pretty rough shape that we got. And Maui's a blessing, but it's turned out more than I thought I would really enjoy. And I think it was God teaching me again of how much joy animals brought to my life. And obviously I can't have pigs and chickens. Because of biosecurity and just we live in town and things like that. So the joy of having cats and then here, when I was younger in my career, I loved cats and dogs, but I went to the zoo and I'm like, oh, I'd love to work with big cats. And I stuck with pigs because that was safe, right? And begged my husband, I said, there's a zoo job open for a nutritionist out in San Diego. Can I apply? And he's like, oh no, we're not going to California. So I've always had that desire, right, to work beyond pigs. Everybody knows me as a swine nutritionist, but it's really animals. And here I've always told my husband, if he passes away before me, I'll be that crazy cat lady, right? And I have a husband who's supporting me being the crazy cat lady. We're actually going to build a cat research facility. So it's a start of my colony. And the pure joy that they have brought to not only my life, my son's and my husband's. It's a little chaos. They do make a little mess where you go through bags of cat litter and cans of cat food. But it's been a wonderful summer experience. And yet they're to the point like, what did I sign up for? Keeping these, can you get that cat colony room done like now, hun? But yeah, that's my summer. So I guess we're gonna cut it off there because we do have some other stuff to talk about from this summer yet in future episodes.
Yeah. Sounds good. We'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time.